Okay. Check.
Sir, we are here, sir.
All right, good. That's what we like. Thank you very much. All right, greetings, everyone. Welcome to all parents, students, family members. Welcome. All right, this is one of the first meetings for you guys going into grade 11. This meeting, just to be clear, this meeting is only about examinations. It has nothing to do with all other back to school activities. We don't have nothing to do with when school open back or book rental, uniform. You can't ask me those questions. I don't know any of those questions. I'm only here today to deal with examinations. All right, so any question I have to ask that's what we're going to be looking. All right, so thank you very much for coming up. Before we even begin or going further, we're going to invite the presence of God, presence of the Lord into all activities that we have here today. So let's have a moment and we will pray. Heavenly Father, Lord God, we give you thanks and praises for this day. We thank you for your opportunities in life, that you're able to bring these parents and students here back here into grade 11 after such a difficult time over the past few years. Lord, we pray that you will let this year be productive. Let this year be one of the best school years that these students and parents have ever had. Let them see the opportunities that lie before them and let them help them to maximize on these opportunities, Lord. Help us here today that we will discuss important matters that will help the students and parents to be prepared for the upcoming school year, both financially, academically, physically, mentally, spiritually. Bless us this day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Good. Thank you very much. So as I was saying before, we are here to discuss examinations. All right. And as grade level students, you know that this is a very important topic for you and an important year for you, because it means that this is when you get to do your final exams, right? You've been preparing for this over the years. You go basic school, you go high school, you go primary school, you go high school, and at the end of high school, you have to do external exams. But this is what is going to prepare you for the working world out there, right? Here at Innswood High School, we try to give our students a very rounded experience. It's not just about letting them come so that they can do exams. And we want to make sure that the exams that they do here are meaningful, purposeful, and will benefit them in the future. So we're not only allowing them to do one set of exams at Innswood High School, they get to the 3 different set of exams, which provide different levels and different platforms for them to get a job and to be qualified and to move on with their education, right? So without any further delay, as I said, I'm going to be the only person talking to them. So we're just going to move through quickly. We're just going to jump straight into the matters and move through quickly. At the end of the presentation, I will invite persons to ask questions. So any questions that you have, just make a note of it. And then at the end of the presentation, you will get an opportunity to ask me your questions and I will answer as best as possible. All right, so let's get right into everything. So as mentioned before, at Innswood High School, we have 3 available exams for students for this year, this upcoming year. Number 1 is the City and Guilds exams. For those of us who are not familiar with City and Guilds exam, the City and Guilds exam is probably one of the most marketable exams that we do, right? The City and Guilds exam is international. It's a globally recognized exam, all right? It's done through London, through the United Kingdom. It's based, but is recognized worldwide, all right? So here at Innswood High School, we allow students to do math and English, City and Guilds, and some students will have the opportunity to do customer service in City and Guilds exam, all right? And as I said before, these exams are not recognized. Not only Jamaica or the Caribbean, these exams are recognized worldwide, all right? Good, so that is one of the advantages. And every single grade level student will have an opportunity to do math and English in City and Guilds, all right? The second set of exams that students get to do the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate that we normally call CSEC exam, I will call CXC exam, right? So a CSEC exam, right? So every student will have an opportunity to do these exams as well based on the class that they're in. So there are some class based on the timetable that they had in grade 10. There are some students or some classes that are doing up to 7 subjects. There are some classes that are doing only 5 CSEC subjects, and there are some classes that are only doing 3 CSEC subjects. So it's based on the class that you're in coming out of grade 10, and then these will be the subjects that you'll be allowed to do, right? And you should already know this because you already went through grade 10, you should have had a timetable, you know what a timetable look like. So you know the subjects that are CSEC subjects and the subjects that are City and Guilds or NCT, right? And then finally, there's the NCT exam. These are the heart-based exams, right? And again, every single student have an opportunity to do one of these exams, right? These are the skill-based exams. These are the ones like the welding, furniture making, the cosmetology, clothing, foods. These are the NCT ones, all right? These are the skill-based ones. And every student, as I say, have an opportunity to do these exams. So just running over that quickly, the City and Guilds exams, which I say is global, it's recognized worldwide. CSEC exam, as I see, there's a Caribbean exam. So it's recognized within the region, within the Caribbean region, and some other countries, but CSEC is not recognized worldwide as City and Guilds. And similarly with NCT is recognized regionally within the Caribbean and some other countries as well, including Canada and some other countries, but it's not recognized worldwide like the City and Guilds, right? So we really push all our students to make the best of the City and Guilds, the math and the English opportunity that they get, all right? So now we want to just get a little bit into each exam, all right? All right, so before students get a chance to do exams, we have a recommendation process that we do. All right, so it don't mean that just because you are in grade 10 and you're getting placed in grade 11 means that you must do exams, all right? There are certain things that you must have been doing throughout grade 10 that will qualify you to do some of these exams that we're offering. First of all, we look at the grades that were achieved in grade 10, all right? So based on the grades that you are achieving in your exams, in your assignments, in your portfolios, in your test, classwork, homework, whatever the grade, the cases. An accumulation of these grades is what we look at for each subject area, right? So if you are doing math and you have some good grades in math, then it makes it very easy for us to recommend you to do math. If you're doing IT and you have good grades in IT, then it's very easy for us to recommend you to do IT. And the reverse also applies. If you have a subject like, for example, if you're doing English and you weren't doing any work at all in the class, if you don't have any good grades, if you're failing everything, if you didn't do the assignment, if you never started SBA, if when I look at the reports, I've seen that you have very, very, very low grades in these subjects, and it makes it very difficult for me to recommend you. And I'm sure you understand why, because when we look at these grades, what it's saying is that you might not be prepared for the exam that we are trying to offer you. And we don't want a situation where we're forcing subjects on students and they are not prepared, right? So if you see that you're doing integrated science and HSB and a couple other subjects or whatever the case is, and you're doing very poorly in these subjects, then these are areas that you need to probably reconsider whether or not you are ready to move into grade 11, or if you need to request a repeat or something like that, make some other sort of arrangement, because it don't make no sense to push forward unless you know straight off that you are prepared to put out everything in grade 11. It don't make sense to push forward knowing that you have some of these failing grades, right? At Innswood High School, we want to give you the opportunity, and we want to give everybody the opportunity to do every subject that they should be doing based on their timetables, right? But we don't want to force people to do things that they are not prepared to do, right? So we have to make sure that you are doing the work that you're supposed to be doing, you're getting some of the grades that you're supposed to be getting. The next thing is the class attendance. There are some classes where you might not have been attending classes any at all, or you attend very seldom. It will be difficult for us to recommend you for a subject that throughout the whole of grade 10, you weren't attending the classes for one reason or the other. If it's a situation where you had a particular situation or case that was reported to the principal or the vice principal or to somebody, then this is something that we can take into consideration. But if it's a simple situation that you're at school, you have 100% attendance for your form teacher at school every day, but you're just simply not attending the subject classes, then naturally, as you can expect, this is going to make it very difficult for us to recommend you to do these subjects, all right? Because what it means is that a lot of the foundation work that was done in grade 10 to prepare you for the work in grade 11, you would have missed out on, right? And if you miss out on this, it makes it difficult for you to move forward if you don't have the foundation work from grade 10. Understand? We understand that there are situations where students have issues and problems, and they might have reported this to different heads, or the dean or the vice principal, or even to myself. And in these cases now, we can look at the third option, which is your attitude towards the subject, right? Sometimes we have students that may have some home difficulties, so they might not be able to attend school all the while, or they come to school and they are trying in the subject, but they're just not getting the grades that they really want to get, right? So we can also look at the attitude towards the work. We understand that there are students who try, they really try, but they're just not getting the grades that they're supposed to do. We are not going to give up on you. We recognize that you are trying. And as long as you are trying, we are going to give you the opportunity. So if you're not getting the grades that you should be getting, but you have the right attitude towards the subject and towards the schoolwork, we are willing to give you the opportunity to pursue some of these subjects. All right. So these are the main things that we look at. We look at the grades coming out of grade 10, your class attendance, very important, and your attitude towards the subject. And once you can satisfy these things, students, it shouldn't be a problem for us to recommend you to go any subject at all. All right. One of the main things that you should look at, so you should know where you stand, is your report, right? Reports are issued twice per year in the Christmas term and for the summer term. All right. Most of you already should have collected your reports already, so you should know what your grades look like. And even without the reports, some of your students should know exactly what your grades look like, because you know where you have been putting all the effort and you know where you have been not putting all the effort, basically. So I have here just like a sample report for you to look at. So the grades that we look at are these grades. These final marks right here. These are the ones that we want to look at. So these would include your coursework that you have done, all of the coursework that you have done. It would also include your exam grade, and it will give you a final average. So these are the final average to look at. So for example, if this were your report, students, and I'm looking at 39% right here, I'm wondering if you are able to manage this subject, because it means that in the exam, you got 38, which is not so good. For coursework, remember that coursework are things that you get to take home. You get to go home and you get a couple weeks to do it, like homework and assignments. You get these things to go home and work and to come back. And if you are getting 46%, it means that maybe you're not able to manage some of these subjects, and maybe you're not ready yet to manage some of these subjects. So these are some of the things we want to look at when we are recommending the students. All right, we don't just want to throw a subject on them, right? So if you can sit down and discuss to them and find out what is happening with them and we are satisfied, then we can go ahead and maybe recommend them with some of these grades. If not, then it means that you might have to skip some of the subjects, which we really and truly don't want, because we don't want a situation where students are only doing 1 or 2 subjects, because 1 or 2 subjects do not qualify you for any job in society, and it don't qualify you for matriculating into a tertiary institution or anything like that, right? 1 or 2 subjects basically only qualify you to go to overwork some of the subjects that you didn't pass, right? And we don't want that situation. We want you to be able to function in society when you leave, all right? So if we're seeing grades like these, this can be easy for us to recommend you. But if we're seeing grades like these 44 and 30 and 10% and 34%, it makes it like a bit difficult, and I'm sure you understand why, all right? So this is part of why it's important for you to ensure that you view your reports. Reports have been ready for, I think, last week or week before, right? They're available online, and I think there's a printed copy available at school as well. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that, but I know that it's available online. All right, so these are some of the items that we use. And in addition to that, though, we use the attendance. For this report, I don't see the attendance, but I know that on the report that you are getting, there will be an attendance to show how much out of 20 classes you have attended for that particular subject or whatever the case is. Right? So these are some of the things that we look at parents when we're doing our recommendation. Right? Just to make it fair. Let's discuss each exam. First of all, we have the City and Guilds exam, as we mentioned before. So for City and Guilds, we offer math and English for every student in grade 11. All right, every single one. And these exams are done in stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. Right, I'll explain that shortly. The last year, I just said 21 to 2022, the prices that I have here are the last year prices. I wouldn't have the this year prices as it because they are not released as it, right? But the last year prices were for each subject was £27 for the subject, and to register it was Jamaican $2,500, right? £27, that's about $5,000, something like that, all right? And then plus $2,700, $2,500, so we're looking at about $78,000 for each one of these subjects, all right? So for the maths and the English, we're looking at about $16,000 for these two subjects, all right? And as I said before, each of these are done based on stage. So stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. Let me explain that further. So the stages are determined by a diagnostic exam that will be done on September 15th, 2022. So all grade 11 students are to be at school on September 15th, 2022. Write down this day, stay it in your head. You need to remember this. You are to be at school September 15th. School will start before this, by the way. School will start the week before this. But we know a lot of time we have students that start late for one reason or the other. So wherever in the world you are, whatever on earth you are doing, make sure that you're at Innswood High School on September 15th in your uniform to do this diagnostic exam, right? The grades from this diagnostic exam will be used to place you in a particular stage. So for example, I don't remember the exact scores offhand. So it will be something like if you get something like 70%, you get placed on stage 3. If you get between 50 and 70, you'll be placed in stage 2, and below 50, you'll be placed in stage 1. I don't remember the exact score often. I'm just giving you an example, all right? It might be different from what I have here, all right? Stage 3 is the equivalent of CSEC. So if you're doing stage 3 in maths in stage 3, it's the equivalent of doing maths in CXC, right? If you're doing English at stage 3, it's the equivalent of doing English CXC, all right? And when you do City and Guilds maths and English, if you pass at stage 3, it is that you can use that to get you into any college or university. You can use it to get you into UTech or MICO or any college. Any college that will accept maths and English CXC will accept maths and English City and Guilds at stage 3, which is the highest stage, all right? After that, there is stage 2. Stage 2 will not get you into college or university, but it can get you into an entry-level job. So there are some jobs that the employer might want to see you with some amount of numeracy and literacy skills. You can get into those jobs with stage 2. All right, so stage 2 will get you a job like that. And then below that, there's stage 1. Stage 1 will get you into an entry-level job as well, but it's kind of a simpler exam. So we don't really push it as much. We try to encourage every single student to pass so that they get placed in stage 2 or stage 3. All right, because stage 3, get you a good job, get you into college. Stage 2, we get you into our entry-level job. Won't get into college, but at least it will get you a job, and it's part of a qualification that you can probably use to get into heart as well. All right, stage 1, we're not encouraging that one. So we want to encourage our students to come out on September 15. I think it's that Thursday, September 15, to ensure that you do the diagnostic exam. You'll do the maths exam first in the morning and the English exam in the afternoon. And then the grades that we get from these maths and English exams will be used to replace you in the particular stage for the subject that you'll be doing in your exams for next year, right? So at this time, I encourage students I know many of you switch off the engine from July after exam finishes, switch off the engine and you don't take up at the book or whatever the case is. But I encourage you at this time, pick up at the maths and the English books, all right? I know some teachers were giving out some past papers and practice papers last year. So maybe you can look at some of these past papers and practice papers in preparation for these exams. It's not a difficult exam. So the maths and the English exam, each of them are 30 questions. Maths question, 30 multiple choice questions. The English question, there's some paragraph that you have to read and you answer some questions. I think it's about the same 30 questions. So it's not particularly long or difficult exams, but it does take some amount of practice and preparation. And as I said before, because we want all our students to be placed in either stage 2 or stage 3 students, I encourage you to do some practice in this era. As you get closer to the time that schools will be reopened, your teachers will also reach out to you to have some sort of practice session to do before school open back. All right, to try to get you guys back into the mood and back into the subject era. All right, so it's very important that you listen out and look out for these notifications when they come up so that we get you prepared for your upcoming exams. Right, these are the City and Guilds exams. Good. All right. The great thing about the City and Guilds exams is that there's a subsidy for these exams. So if you remember, Liquid, I just tell you that the subjects cost, like this one, the maths one alone will cost about $8,000, and the English one will cost about $8,000 to the $16,000. The great thing about it is that there's a subsidy. A subsidy is a offering that the government makes to assist students with their exams, right? It's an assistance that the government uses to assist students with paying for their exams, right? So the government is saying that, look, if you get recommended to do maths at stage 2 or stage 3, they will pay this $8,000 for you. And if you get English at stage 2 or stage 3, they will pay for English for you as well. You understand that, students? So what this means basically is that on October 15th, when you come out to do these exams, make sure that you maximize the grades that you get. Because if you get into the stage 2 or the stage 3, the government will pay for it for you. So that will be $16,000 that your parents get to save right there. So $16,000 that is saved. If you get stage 1, you will have to pay for it, the $16,000 out of your pocket, right? So here's an opportunity already for you to start saving some money in getting to do these exams. So you're not only getting an opportunity to do a globally recognized exam for stage 2 and stage 3 City and Guilds, you also have an opportunity to have it paid for by the government. All right, so we encourage everybody to do their best on this exam. Again, I can't say it enough, Thursday, September 15th. All right, uniform, make sure that you're at school. All right, good. Let's move forward. For a CSEC exam now, so what we call CXE, again, these are the costs from last year, all right? We don't get the cost for this year as well. CXE's exam fees are tied to the US dollar. So every time the US dollar go up, the cost for the exams go up. So that's why whatever it was last year, we know most of components have to increase for this year, all right? So we're looking at some of the scores here, the costs here. So to register for a candidate to do an exam, that's $4,870. Matter of fact, I think I made a mistake here. I think this is the previous year, not last year, Monday, this is the previous one. I think this year was something like $5,000. So you could be looking at about $5,500 to register this year, right? So to register 2 years ago was $4,870. Write it down in a book. For this year, I'm anticipating that it might be somewhere in the $5,500 to register only to the CXE, right? That's a one-time payment, right? Per subject, it was about $4,000 or something last year. So this year, I'm anticipating that it might be about $4,500 for each subject that your child is going to do, all right? Take a moment, look at that, all right? Of course, this adds up. Right? So there are some students, as I said before, that are doing up to 7 subjects. So you can look at the table on the right here, so it can show you. If you're doing up to 7 subjects, this is the kind of money that you're looking at. And I tell you this two years ago. So if you do the inflation on it, we're probably looking about from 32,000 now, it might be reaching about 40,000 now to the 7 subjects, right? And that would include your registration fee, and that would include the subject fee, right? In addition to this money here, so if one of the subjects that you're doing is a practical subject, one of these practical subjects here, so there's a practical fee as well. So for example, if you were doing 7 subjects and come up to about 40-something thousand, and you're doing PE with that, the practical fee for PE is $3,000, so it would be $40,000 plus this $3,000, so you're looking at 43,000. If you're doing another practical subject like food, that's an additional $1,400, right? So if you're looking at 7 subjects, make sure you have about $40,000 or probably more put on for that 7 subjects. If you're looking at 5 subjects, have about $30,000 put on, all right? Prepare to pay for these subjects, all right? One of the things with CXC, parents, that's why we're having this meeting from early from now to inform you, CXC don't take part payment, right? So if it's supposed to be $40,000, you have to pay the full $40,000. So even though you're going to be paying the money to the school has to then make one big check for everybody and pay that to CXC. So if that money is short by $10, they're not going to process the whole thing. Which means that if your money that you're bringing in is short by $10, you can't accept it from you, right? So if you're supposed to be paying $40,000, you have to be paying $40,000. You can't be a part one, part the time. You have to come in with the full money on time for us to process it, all right? And they will put it in the funds with the other exam payments so that can be paid, all right? So this creates now a situation, parents, where it means that you have to have this money up front. The deadline to make these payments will be end of October, right? I will inform all parents. I'll soon show you. I'm going to show you there's a document that will be sent to all parents in the beginning of September that will show you exactly how much subjects that your child is doing. Sorry. That will show you exactly how much subjects your child is doing, and it will show you exactly how much money you need to pay. All right. So when you get that paper in September, you can then determine how you're going to work out the payment, right? But whatever the case is, just bear in mind, the money has to be paid, all right? Another issue is that the school, Innswood High School, we don't have the resources to offer students assistance. So if you say that you're short at 10,000 or whatever the case is, Innswood High School, because we don't have a large past student body to support us, and we don't have a lot of sponsors and whatever the case is. So we can't offer that assistance to students as much as we would want to, right? So I know that a lot of students are going to come and they're going to say that, sir, women have $10,000 short or whatever the case is. I understand, but the reality is that we don't have the resources at the school to help you with this, right? So it simply means that before you go buy the clocks or before you buy the transport, your knapsack bags, you have to make sure that you have this money put aside. So when exam come around, you can make your payments, right? So instead of buying a $15,000 clocks, you have to go buy a $5,000 shoes and put on that $10,000 to go towards the exam. If you know that you have to do a partner draw, organize yourself to make sure that you get the draw by that time. If you have to do round robin, whatever the case is, I'm saying these things because these are things that have happened over the years. And a lot of time parents come and they say, sir, me I do a round robin and next you never get the money. The problem is that CXC have specific deadlines. And if I don't submit the payment to CXC by that specific deadline, there are late charges. And I'm going to get into that shortly. That CXC charges for candidates when they pay late. All right. I don't want to get into that, but I'll talk about that in a second. Right. So these are some of the fees that we'll be looking at for the upcoming school year. All right. If your child is doing 7 subjects, have that 40,000 put on. If they're doing 5 subjects, have that $30,000 put on, whatever the case is. All right, these are funds that have to be paid. All right. As I was saying a while ago, CXC. So at the end of October, when these are due, I will have to make that payment to CXC at that time. All right. If for any chance you can't pay by that time, it means that I will have to send what I have. So if it's 100 students supposed to pay it, also argument's sake, If 20 of them can't pay, it means that I'm only able to send up 80 students at that time, right? Because I can't send up the students who have not paid. You understand? Because that will create a problem when they add up what money is supposed to pay. All right. What that creates is a situation where students can make a late registration, but CXC will charge students for a late registration. So they will charge up to $100 for late registration. CXC is charging that. The school don't charge anything like that. CXC will charge you $100 for late registration. So it means that if you were supposed to be paying $40,000, now you have to pay $40,000 plus $100 for late registration. $100 is about 15,000 Jamaican dollars. So it means that instead of paying $40,000, now you have to pay $55,000, right? Yeah, and it still must be paid. You understand? So I encourage parents and students, don't get caught up in this late thing. Try your very best to put on the money, have it set aside early so you can have your payment so you don't have to worry about the late. So, because to pay $100 just because you're registering late, it's a huge waste of money that for me. That money could have do so many different things. All right. So we don't want to get caught up in that. All right. So parents and students, you know the subject that they're supposed to be doing based on the timetables that you had, based on the report and whatever the cases. Organize yourself. As I say, as best as possible, I'm going to be trying to send up every student for every subject that they're supposed to be doing, unless that absolutely doesn't bring any work at all in the subject, but as best as possible. So if you have a timetable that shows that you're supposed to be doing 7 subjects, plan for 7 subjects. If your timetable is showing 5 CSEC subjects, remember this is CSEC we're talking about. Plan for 5 CSEC subjects. All right, make your payments, you won't have any problems. All right. Now I know that some persons are saying, all right, they know that the government offers subsidy for some of these subjects. And you're correct, the government does offer some subsidy for some of these subjects. And we can jump straight into that. So let's look at some of the subsidy that is offered for CXC. All right, so as we said before, a subsidy is a contribution that the government makes towards exams, right? So for every grade 11 students and grade 12, I keep on leaving off grade 12 because I know that there are some grade 12 students, you know, so this also applies to you. So for every exam students, there's a subsidy that can be offered, all right? But it must meet some of these criteria. So first of all, you have to be recommended by the teacher that you can just get to pass some more on the maths and the way to have a certain work. You have to be recommended by the teacher. You must not be over 18 years old. It must be your first time sitting the subject unless you're a grade 12 student, which means that it will be your second time. So if you're a grade 12, it will be your second time sitting it. If you're a grade 11, it's your first time sitting it. All right, it must be grade 11 or 12. And you must be receiving, and this is the part to get everybody, you must be receiving 55% or more to get the subsidy. You understand that? So what this means is that for each subject that is available, the government will pay for some of these subjects. Let me show you some of the subjects. So the Ministry of Education will straight out pay for 4 subjects often. Maths, CXC, English CXC, Information Technology or EDPM, and 1 science subject, right? So the Ministry of Education will pay for these subjects for you. Maths, English, IT or EDPM, and 1 science subject. They will pay for these subjects for you if you are getting 55% or more as your average for the subject. So what this means is that if you're doing maths in CXC, your average have to be 55% or more. All right. If you're doing English language, same 55%. Sorry for the bad handwriting. I'm trying to use a mouse to write, and more. If you're doing IT or EDPM, 55% or more. You have to be getting in that subject. And in the science subject that you're getting paid for has to be 55% or more. Every year, parents call me already to attack me because they're saying that when they look at the recommendation sheets, they see that I am charging them to pay for, I'm telling them to pay for exam that the government pay for, right? And I have to be explaining to them that, look, it's not that you can't get the subsidy, it's because of the grade that your child got in their last set of reports that put them in that situation. So if they were getting over 55%, it wouldn't be an issue. It would be paid for, the government would pay for it. As a matter of fact, you wouldn't even see any money on that paper. I will show you the paper, look at shortly. You wouldn't even see any money on that paper to pay. You just see a zero beside the subject, meaning that you won't pay any money at all for that subject, right? But if your child is getting below the 55%, that becomes a problem. And that is where the cutoff point is, right? Bear in mind, in addition to sending up this information to CXC for you to be a subject, I have to prepare a list and I have to send it to the Ministry of Education for them to check it off. So they're not just going to take my word and say, oh yeah, man, John and Stacey and Keisha and Pat, all of them get over 50. Pay for them, man. They don't want to see that. They need me to send a list, everybody's name, everybody's date of birth, the grades that each student get in that particular subject that I want to give them subsidy for. Because remember, this is a lot of money. Remember that each subject is what, $4,000 or something dollars? So to be getting subsidy, it adds up quickly. So the government not going to do this money. So then I have to show them evidence that the child is getting this 55% or more. And then the ministry will sign off on it, right? So as a result, I have to look at the results, at the reports that these students are getting to formulate, to put together these sheets, right? So if you are looking at the report that your child got this summer already, and you're seeing that they are getting over 55% for maths and English and IT and one science subject, then rest assured the ministry will pay for these subjects. As long as they're doing it in CXC, the ministry will pay for these subjects. And it won't be a problem. If they're not getting the 55% or more, it has to come out of pocket, your pocket, all right? There's another subsidy that the government does as well, right? And this one is for the PATH students, right? So students that are on PATH, P-A-T-H, I hope I say that right, PATH, right? The government does offer subsidy for PATH students specifically. And this one is even a bigger subsidy than the previous one. So for the PATH students, the government will pay for up to 8 subjects for each child doing PATH, up to 8 subjects. So if they're doing 8, so if you're in a class and they're doing 7 subjects, pretty much you don't have to go pay nothing at all. So remember that 40,000 that I was telling you before? If your child is in that class that they're doing 7 subjects, that they were supposed to be paying $40,000 for. If your child is a PATH student, then the government will pay for all of these subjects for you. And you don't have to pay 1 cent, except that you are getting under the 55%. So the 55% come back again here. So you have to be getting over 55% to get the subsidy from PATH. Yeah, that's how the trick. And it sounds kind of, like I know some of your hopes get way up a little while and then they're throwing 55% and then they drop and then when I look so handsome anymore. But we can't avoid that. That is the criteria that the ministry says. They say that for each subject that you're sending up for PATH students, 8 subjects, you have to show that they are getting 55% or more in each subject. So if your child is on PATH and they're doing 7 subjects, but they're only getting 55% or more on 2 subjects, then the government will cover just the 2 subjects. If they're getting over 55% on 4 subjects alone, the government will pay for only the 4 subjects and you pay for the remaining subjects. If your child getting 55% or more in 7 subjects, then the government will pay for the 7 subjects, PATH students, and you will not pay for any of these subjects. However, if your child not getting 55% in any subject at all, then you, parents, will have to find all of this money to pay for all of these subjects. And we have had situations like this. We have had situations where a student is in a class doing their work and they're getting the 55%. And when they get the recommendation sheets that show the subjects that they're doing and how much money they're supposed to be doing, when everything add up done at the bottom, it's the amount to be paid, $0 for 7 subjects. And that student went jump and ball and create all kind of excitement because for them parents not have to pay anything. And similarly, there's a similar student right beside that one with the same exact subjects that they're doing, and that child have to be paying $40,000. And somebody will come and ask me why, but this is so unfair. The criteria was set by the ministry and we have to follow it. So if one student is doing their work and getting the grades that they're supposed to be getting, then these are the awards that they're going to get. If an next student is not doing what they're supposed to be doing and not getting the grades that they're supposed to be getting, then these are the penalties that they have to pay. I don't make these rules. The school don't make these rules. These are coming straight from the Ministry of Education, and we have to comply with these rules. Right? A lot of times parents come down here and text me because they must say, but in the part, and then keep on saying the part, and then me I say, but him not get the 55%, and then I say, but in the part, and I say, but him not get the grade them, and then keep on saying, but in the part, like that is a magic word or something like that. They have to be getting the grade, parents and students. If they're not getting the grade, there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. All right? So sad, but that's a reality. So ensure that your child getting the grades that they're supposed to be getting, and you will save yourself some money. What I advise parents to do, don't plan for the subsidy yet. Have the money put out. So if you know that your child is doing 7 subjects, as I said before, and it might cost about $40,000 September morning, parents have the $40,000 put on, right? When you get the recommendation sheet from me and they show you exactly how much money you must pay, then you're going to pay whatever out of it and you'll do whatever you want with the rest of your money. So if when you get the paper, it show that there's some subsidy, but you still have to pay $20,000, you pay $20,000, you save the other $20,000 and you contribute it to the school, whichever one you want to do, right? But I don't want a situation where parents are sitting around and waiting to get that paper before they go look the money. Because by the time they get that paper, it leaves you a few weeks to prepare. So if you get that paper on the show, so you have to pay $35,000, you have a few weeks to go find that money. Versus if you try to prepare yourself from now, then it makes it easier when you get that paper right there. So, all right, just some advice. All right, moving along. So in September, this is a recommendation sheet that you'll be getting. It's called a CXC examination registration profile, right? It look a little bit small. As we'll zoom it in for you, but I just want you to see exactly what it's showing. So it's going to be showing some information. It's going to be showing the subjects that your child is doing, all of the subjects that they're doing, and they're going to be showing exactly how much money they should pay, all right? So let's look at this a little bit closer so you understand. The first part of the sheet looks like this, where it shows the class, the candidate's name, and date of birth, all right? One of the main things we want to ensure when we give you the sheet is that the names are correct. So ensure that the names are always correct. Date of birth is always correct, right? CXC, again, CXC will charge you to make these corrections after. So if this is the information that you got, I will register you with this information. And then in December or January, you realize that this is not all brown spell. Like you're not supposed to be on brown. You just realize that CXC is going to charge you to correct this. All right, CXC is going to charge you guys from anywhere from $50 to $100 to correct this. All right. So what we do when we are collecting the registration information from you guys, we're going to ask that you also give us a photocopy of your birth certificate. And this birth certificate allows us to verify the information, because what is on the birth certificate, that is the spelling that we're going to use on these exam papers. Because when they're ready to go look at a job, whoever is employing them will look at the qualification and they will look at the birth certificate to make sure that it's the same person, all right? I can't tell you how many times I have encountered students who don't know exactly how their name spelled. I can't tell you how much time I've encountered parents who don't know exactly how their children name spelled. And they will come down there and they will tell you that is E, and then I is E, and then I. But when I look at the birth certificate, I'm seeing I and then an E. So because I know that this child will need this qualification when they leave, I have to tell them, say, "Moment, look, I understand what you are saying, but according to the birth certificate, it's spelled this way. So I have to register your child based on the birth certificate." All right. Some of you might have a problem with this, some of you don't. How I tell them to rectify it is, look, go back to the registrar or wherever you have to go, have it corrected there, and then take it back to me. So I say all of this to tell you this. If you know that there's an issue with your child's birth certificate, whether it be with the name, whether you don't have one, if you don't have one, I can't register it, period. Right? If you have one, but there's a problem with the name spelling or whatever the case is, get it sorted out and rectified by September, please, so that when you come with it, I am getting a proper photocopy and everything. I understand the situations. I've been listening to them for years, but there's nothing I can really do about it. I want to make sure that when I register your child with a particular name, it is correct, so that when they're ready to look at job, you're not gonna come tell me say NCB didn't employ because I never spelled your name correct or something like that. All right, so we're doing our part. What you need to do, make sure that you have a proper photocopy of the child's birth certificate. September, when you're ready to return all of these documents, and then that way you can register them. If you don't have a copy of the birth certificate, I can't register them because that is what I use as verification or proof of verification. All right, so please make that known. All right, so if on the day you get this sheet and you realize that the name is spelled wrong, you can bring it to my attention at the same time. I'll make a note of it. Or you can write the correction over here, so. And when I look at the birth certificate, I can verify it, all right? Similarly, you will need an email address, working email address to register with CHC. Bear in mind, this is a professional email address, right? So when you give me an email address, you can't give me an email address like good as Keisha or something like that. All right. If your name is Keisha Small, let it be Keisha Small at Gmail or something like that. Something that you can put on your resume after and you can move on with life after. Don't give me no little loose email address because that's not considered professional. All right. All right. Hope you understand that. Next slide. All right. Likewise, now this sheet will show you the subjects that you're getting. So everybody's sheet going to be different. If your child is doing 5 subjects, you will only see the subjects that your child is doing on the sheet. Right? So the child can't come show you something with 3 subjects and tell you, oh, but they're supposed to have the 2 more, which is only what is on the sheet that the child is going to be doing. Right? So in this case, this is showing that this child is doing 7 subjects, right? IT, English, Agri, theater, human and social, bio, integrated science, and maths, right? There's a column here so that shows that this child was recommended. So you must have this right here. So beside each subject, there's a cost for the subject. So at the time when this sheet was prepared, it was 3,008 for each subject, 3,008 for this one. You can see that this one is a little bit more. This one is 6,223 because it includes a theater arts practical fee, right? And then this one is 3,800, this one is 3,800, this one is 3,800 again, all right? In the other column beside it though, it shows which subjects you receive the subsidy for. So in this case, this student received a subsidy for information technology. So once there's a Y there, it means that they won't have to pay this money. They received a subsidy for English as well, so they won't have to pay this money either. They received a subsidy for maths as well, so they won't have to pay this money. So in this case, this child will only pay for 1, 2, 3, 4 subjects, all right? And you will see it reflected down at the bottom. So here, so it shows that child is doing 7 subjects. This is the entry fee. This is the processing fee. This is the subject fee. And the total amount that everything come up to was 35,585. It shows that it was an eligible subsidy from Ministry of Education, which gave them a subsidy amount of $15,520. So instead of paying $35,585, the student is now paying $20,065 because there was an MOE subsidy. So this is how your sheet is going to look. There's a breakdown that shows you how much money is originally supposed to be paid, which is this amount of money here. So if you are getting any subsidy, how much you're getting for the subsidy. So you might look at your sheet and you might see $0 here. So at the $0 means that you didn't get recommended for any, you didn't get any subsidy because all of your grades are below 55%. So if all your grades below 55%, you wouldn't get any subsidy at all, and you'd have to pay the full amount of money, right? So on the day when you get this amount of money to be paid at bank, 20,000, you will only pay the amount that is at the bottom, all right? Hope that is clear. I hope you understand that. Bear in mind, when I finish with this video, I will post it on the Innswood High School YouTube channel, and you can go back and review it afterwards if you want, all right? Not a problem. So I'm hoping this is clear. The sheet will show you exactly which subject you're doing, how much money you're supposed to be paying, how much money you get for subsidy, and how much money you should pay finally. And this money, because of the banking situation during COVID, where persons couldn't go into the bank and use cash and stuff like that, we set up an arrangement at the school where parents could come into the school and they could make the payments at the school, whether by cash or by credit card or debit card or whatever the case is. So I think that part of that procedure is still in place. So when you get to that appointed time in September, you can make all payments at the school. You don't have to go to the bank and join those bank lines. All right, so it shouldn't be a problem. All right. Next, there are some specific deadlines. So in this case, I just give you an example here. So in this case, if the deadline is November 20th, it means that that is a deadline that I have to receive all documents and payments in my hand. So by November 21st, I can add up everybody who pay. I can ask the bursar to prepare a check and then make that payment to CXC. If you come after November 20th and you miss that check, you will automatically fall in the late payment, and you will have to make arrangements to make the late payment. Remember, we talk about the $100 late payment. You will have to make arrangements to get that paid. All right, so please try to avoid this as best as possible. All right, good. I'm making good time as we finish. So this is where we are. There are also some little things. So when you get it, it will also explain, again, the cost for each subject, how the subsidy works. It will explain all of these things to you. All I will just talk about, the sheet will explain. In addition, it will also talk about the child's SBA for CSEC. There's a school-based SBA that must be completed for each CXC subject, right? Must be completed. There are some subject areas that started this SBA from grade 10. Some of them started in the summer. Some of them don't get to start at all, right? For one reason or the other, but they're going to be starting by September. This SBA must be done, and it must be done and completed for first draft marking by December. Must, right? Let me explain. Let me see if I can explain quickly how this works for you for CXC. All right, let me just find a blank page here, so if I can. All right, good. So the SBA must be done, right? So there's a paper one, and this is, so for CXC, there are 3 papers for CXC. There's a paper one, which is multiple choice paper. There's a paper 2, which is the written paper. I will call the short answer paper. Sorry about the handwriting, but listen, I try to use a mouse and write. And then there's a paper 3, which is the SBA. All right. Grades are taken for each section, for each part of the papers. So for paper 1, there's a particular set of grades. For paper 2, there's a particular set of grades. For paper 3, there's a particular set of grades. So for example, SBAs might worth about 30%. All right. The multiple choice might be worth about 30%. And then the short answer, the paper 2, might be worth about 40%. So as you can see, you have to do all 3. If you don't do any single one of these, it is an automatic fail. So for example, if you go into the paper 1 exam, the exam time comes, you go into the paper 1 exam and you get 100% to pass every single question. You pass every single question and you get 100% paper 1. You go into the paper 2 and you answer every single question and you get 100% for paper 2, but you didn't submit a SBA, it's an automatic fail. All right? Likewise, if you submitted a SBA and you did the paper 1, but you never do the paper 2, it's an automatic fail. With any combination you look at here, so you must complete all parts of the paper, the exam. So you must do the paper 1 sitting, you must do the paper 2 sitting, and you must complete your SBA. This is a must, right? The SBA will account for up to 30% or in some cases more of the grades that you're getting. So if you can imagine, if you do a SBA, remember you get about 4 months to do SBA. So if you take your time and you work on an SBA, you master an SBA, and you make sure that you get 100% on that SBA, you are going into your exam with 30% of the grade already, right? Right? So if this is your pass, you're going in the exam with all of this part of the SBA, with all of this grade already. 30% of your grade already, you're going into the exam with. So all it means that you have to just study and work hard just to get the other parts of the grades that you want. But either case, you must get the SBA, all right? So parents, this is something that we enforce at Innswood High School, but because it's not just about doing the SBA, because a lot of times students with the foolishness and give it a mark, right? The SBAs are marked, and then there's a percent, just like out of 100%. So we accept 80% or more for any SBA that is marked. Anything under 80%, we will send it back to the child to adjust or to fix or whatever the case is, all right? So if you're the foolishness and you get 20% for your SBA, we're going to give it back to you to fix, and you must fix it, all right? Because we want the full 80% or more or 100% to satisfy us for that SBA, all right? And then where it becomes now is that if students are not doing what they're supposed to be doing for the SBAs, we have different levels that we go. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to pull them from class and talk to them and ask them, what is the situation? Why you're not doing your SBA? Why is it completed? And you're going to tell us, all right, sir, I'm going to work on it. All right, then cool, you go back to class. The second stage after that, we realize that it's still not done. We pull you from attending our classes for your day, and we put you in the lab or in the library where you get to sit down and you work on this SBA until it is finished. If after that it's still not finished, then at that point we call in parents, because it means that the parents now, because remember I said the parents are accountable as a student. So the parents have to come in now and explain to us why these SBAs are done and what part are they playing to ensure that it is completed. So if that case where the parents come in and they are unaware that it wasn't finished or they're not sure what they're supposed to do or whatever, they might find themselves in a situation where we have to say, all right, John Brown, maybe you need to take a few days at home, spend some time on your laptop and finish this SBA before you come back to school. Because as shown here, so it makes no sense. You kill up yourself on the schoolwork if you're not with the SBA, because if you don't have an SBA, it's an automatic fail, right? So you might find that you pull from class, you may find that you send for your parents, or you might find that you're sent home if you don't complete the SBA, and you can't come back until this is completed up to the 80% mark that we need from you, all right? And this is something that we take very seriously, and we're going through for that, all right? So bear that in mind. We're wrapping up now, we're finishing now. So as I said before, when payments are being made, you're going to need the exam sheets that we were just talking about that show the subjects and amount of money to be paid. You're going to need a photocopy of your birth certificate, and you will get a voucher to pay at the bank or at the front office. So when you're returning all of these back to school, you will return it with the exam sheets, birth certificate photocopied, and the payment, the stamped bank voucher, right? And this is only at this point that we consider that payments have been made. A lot of times students and parents, listen to this carefully, a lot of times the parents go to the bank or to the office, they make the payment, they get this bank voucher right here, so stamped and everything, and they take it and push it in their purse or their bag. and then they go back to work and they forget about it. Bear in mind, if you don't give me this payment here, so I have no evidence or record that you made a payment. All right, this is your evidence that you made a payment. So you need to carry this back and give me to show me so that I can staple. I will staple this, and this becomes now your child's exam sheet, right? When everything is submitted together. I won't accept it without the payment receipt. I won't accept it without the birth certificate, and I won't accept it. So you have to have all three together, and I can staple that together, and then you can consider your child registered. If you don't give me back these papers, your child is not registered. We have had situations where it's January, child asked me why they don't see them name on the exam sheets when I print them out. After I print out everybody that is registered, and I'm saying, did you make a payment? Yes, sir, I made the payment from September. Did you take it back to give me? And then get that look on their face. And at that point, they know that they're in trouble. So then go on feet and carry it back. We'll follow up and meet same way. But again, at this point, the late fee chip in. The late fee will chip in at this point, which is the 100 US. And not only the late fee, because it is late, you don't get subsidy after the late payment. I should have mentioned that before, don't it? Yeah. So remember, I know. Sorry, trying to find back the right. Right. So we'll talk about the subsidy and they're going to the parents that are benefiting from the subsidy. On October 30th, I don't know which day is the final date, if it's October 30th or 31. But I'm just doing this for example. On October 30th will be the deadline, the cutoff, right? At this time, everything will be calculated. If you bring in your payments and everything on November 2nd, you will lose whatever subsidy you could have received. So let me go back to the sheet here. So let me clear this. Come on. Let me clear this. All right. So remember previously I said that the exam would have come up to 35,000, but the government was going to pay for 15,000 for you. If you make a late payment after the deadline, this subsidy would have passed, and you will now have to go back to paying the original amount. So this would have passed as well. So you have to go back to paying this original amount of $35,000 plus the 100 US dollars. So hard to write to this with this most, but you understand. Plus the one, so we have to end up paying $35,000 a year. So plus 100 US dollars is what? 15,000. So that's what? $50,000 you may end up have to pay a year. So when you could have paid $20,000 to have your exam done, you will end up paying $50,000 just because you were late. We don't want that to happen. So let me say that again. When you're late, you have to pay the late payment to CXC, and you lose whatever subsidy you could have been awarded. All right, so you have to pay the original exam fee plus whatever the 100 US that is late. All right, it's a serious situation. Parents and students need to take it seriously. If you are having issues or problems, come to me from early. Don't wait until the deadline and then you come at the door and knock on. Sir, you know, so this is the situation when you didn't know so this was a situation from in September. In some cases, I might not be able to tell you, say, all right, yeah, me pay for it for you, or whatever the case is, but I can give you advice. I might be able to tell you who you can go to get assistance or something like that. You understand? But whatever the case is, parents and students, if you are having a problem, come to the school, talk to somebody. If it's an exam-related problem, come to the school and talk to me. All right, my name is Mr. Remichi. I sent the messages in the WhatsApp group, so you can save that number if you want. Come to the school and talk to somebody. Do not sit down at your house and wait until the deadline and then you're coming down there with tears in your eyes because I can't do anything about it. I can't pay for the exams for you. The school can't pay for the exams for you. I already told you the deadlines and the things that we have to do. So just avoid these situations, please. I've seen it. Avoid it, please. All right, good, wrapping. So, well, I'm gonna finish one last thing I want to catch. We have a good year ahead of us students. Students and parents, we have about, it's not a year. When we think of grade level, we often think that it's a year. It's not a year, it's about 9 to 10 months. We have about 9 to 10 months ahead of us. It might not seem like a lot of time because it's not. It's a very short amount of time. And if you think about it, I'm sure right now, if I ask some of you students inside here, which class you belong to, you're going to tell me 9I, no, I'm sorry, 10I, no, sorry, 11I, because in some of your minds, you still can probably realize that you are in grade 11 now. All right, and it's a very serious time. When I look at the summary sheets that I'm supposed to be using to create the recommendation sheets, the level or the quality of performance that I'm expecting is not there, right? We were having this situation throughout grade 10 now. We have had some meetings with some of the grade 10 students because we recognized from early that the grade 10 students from this year just gone. They weren't settled. They weren't doing the level of work that we were expecting them to do. We understand fully that they were coming into a very serious situation of COVID, where some of them had limited access to any learning at all, or some of them had absolutely no access at all to learning. For many of them, learning ended for them at the end of first form or in about January of second form, because after that there was no more class for them until they came back in grade 10. And we understand how this has set them back. We understand fully how this has set them back. But the reality of the situation is that when we saw them back when school opened, I expected a rush, an enthusiasm for learning. I expected that they would be so happy to come back, that they are back in the school space, that they will be trying so much to pick up what they have lost and to pick up all that the time lost and other cases. But in many cases, parents, to be very honest, we didn't see this kind of reaction from the students. What we saw mostly was friends who never see friends in a long time, and they were happy to link up back. And some had grievances from a long time, but they just want to fight it out. And then some they don't want to gamble, and some just want to sit down on the tree. And for us as administrators at the school and teachers at the school, we spent a lot of time with grade 10s last year, disciplining and getting them to go back into the classroom instead of doing the thing that we were meant to be doing with them, which was to be teaching them and helping them. We wasted a lot of time fixing disciplinary problems, who is gambling, who is fighting, who is doing this to whatever the case is and whatever the case is. It was a lot of time wasted for grade 10 students. They even had a serious meeting with them a couple months ago to even explain a lot of this to them, to explain to them that this can't be the way forward. And when I look now at the summary sheet, what I mean by summary sheet is I can look at all of the students and all of the grades that they get for each subject. And when I'm looking at that, it's not as good as I would have wanted it to be very honest. I'm looking at it and I'm seeing that a very few students alone, I'm seeing that I've been fully performing and getting good grades in all the subjects. I realized that a lot of the students didn't get the grades that they should have been getting as we expected them to. I'm seeing a lot of students with across the board fails, just across the board from subject to subject, fail. You understand? This is concerning for me because as an exam coordinator, when I send up these students, I need to make sure that they can manage these subjects, right? And I don't know if these students are coming back ready for grade 11. I don't know if they understand the importance of grade 11. I don't know if they understand what is going to happen to them when they reach grade at the end of grade 11, when they graduate from grade 11. Do they understand where they're going to go? Do they understand what is going to happen to them? Do they understand that they need the subjects, these subjects, so that they can move on with their life? Is to go look at work or to move on to other tertiary institutions or whatever the case is. I don't know if they realize the seriousness of this situation. So parents, I'm asking you, if you can, speak to somebody, speak to your children. When I mean sit down and cuss them, I mean sit down and have a serious conversation with them. Because I have a list of things on the screen here. So problems that students face. Let's look at them one by one. Parental support. The reality is that at Innswood High School, we have a lot of students who don't have any form of parental support. We have some parents that have registered the students in grade 11, in grade 7. They register the students in grade 7 and they come back for graduation in grade 11 and they disappear throughout all of that. So a lot of the students are coming to school without any form of support. Some of these students live on their own, which is very surprising to me. So when we are telling them never send for your parents, them are laugh because they know so the parents at the home and them alone live. You understand? You understand the issues that this creates. A lot of the students, for the second point here, a lot of the students have no plan. What do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do when you leave school? Bear in mind, as 16 and 17-year-old, I'm not expecting you to have a solid plan because a lot of 40 or 50-year-old don't have a solid plan for their life. But you need a basic plan. Your basic plan is going to give you a basic direction of where you must go, right? So it's like you come out to your gate. If you have absolutely no plan at all and you just start walking to the first gully where you sit, okay, just be dropping at the first gully because you're not moving the direction. But even if you come out to your gate and you don't know exactly where you're going, but you know that you're going Spanish Town direction, that is a direction. So you can start walking that direction. And at any point, you can change your plan and move in the next direction. So if you don't want to go to college, where you're going to look for work, all right, what kind of work you're going to look? Because that means that it will affect the kind of subjects that you're getting. You're going to woodwork, because that might get you a better job. You're going to Cosmo, because that can make you start a business quicker, whatever the case is. Have a plan. Don't just approach life like whatever come, have a plan. The third thing is a lack of time management skills. These students, they don't recognize time. They don't recognize deadlines. You tell them, I see your assignment is due tomorrow, our assignment is due next week, and it just passes them by without them even noticing. We tell them that assignments are online for them to finish, but to put on their reports, it's still not done. There's a lack of effort in completing tasks. And for the students, sometimes they start and then they realize that it actually will take work to finish. They stop and they give up. So they will have SBA and they start the SBA, but they are just not putting enough effort to finish the SBA so that they can get the grade that they're supposed to be getting. A lot of students, for the 5th point on the list, a lot of students have a habit of settling for failure. At this stage in their life, students, you cannot accept failure. Let me give you a good example. I will give some students a test, and these students a student might get 50% on the test, and they are jumping for joy because they feel like they get 50% on the pass. 50% is not a pass, man. 50% means that you only know half of everything that you're supposed to know. That's what 50% means, and that can't be acceptable. If you go to Pizza Hut right now, Pizza Hut that make pizza, and you pay $2,000 for your pizza. When you reach home and open the box and look at only half of the pizza, you say, what would you do? Would you say, it's all right, man, at least we get 50% of the pizza. It's all right, and sit down and eat half of the pizza. No, you don't go back a pizza out and lift and raise off the roof because you want your whole what you pay for. You need to consider your achievements in your grades in the same way. You can't accept 50%. 50% means that it's only half of everything that you're supposed to know. Suppose you're going to a doctor's office and you have a condition, something to save your life, you have to do a surgery. And when you look on the doctor wall, you see him having in doctorate in whatever, and at the end of the doctorate, it shows 50% with a circle on it. Would you allow a doctor to get 50% in a final examination of the operating trial? No. Because suppose the 50% and fail at the 50% when you to save your life. So you can't accept this mentality of accepting failure. It is not good. And we tend to use that as a standard. We get 50% and all right, we don't worry about it. We don't worry that there's something else that we need to know. There's something else that we should know. We don't worry about it. All right, we're wrapping up. The low and inconsistent attendance is going to affect us this year again because students, if you're not attending classes, it's very difficult for you to pass the exam because you're missing out on a whole heap of content. Low SBA scores, you just spoke about that. And there's a general habit to be inadequately prepared for exams. students, these are the exams that are going to change your lives, that are going to give you a future after it. If you haven't been taking your exams serious or taking school serious up to this point, you have an opportunity right here, right now, and for the next 9 to 10 months to fix it. So if you can drop your friends, drop the social media, drop the distractions that you have, and just focus the next 9 to 10 months, what you can do in the next 9 to 10 months will affect everything that you get to do with your life after this. Something that you have to consider. Parents, please talk to your children about this. It's something that we have to consider and we have to fix. All right. We will be having other meetings as we get closer throughout grade 11s to discuss other matters. So this is pretty much it for exams for today. I have some questions. Right? All right, I see some persons have their hands up. I'm going to just run through them one by one. Keisha Grant, your hand is up for a long time. You still have a question, you can unmute and go ahead, Keisha Grant. Pardon? Keisha Grant, did you? All right, the next person is, wait, let me call him here. Who's the next person? Anybody else have any question that they would like to ask? All right, yes, the grade level WhatsApp group. Right. So it's the same WhatsApp group that I sent the message in. That will be the grade level group going forward for next year, grade level WhatsApp group. Donna Taylor, please go ahead. Please unmute and go ahead.
Good evening, all. What if they get recommended for 7 subjects and you can only pay for 4 if the government is not helping?
All right, so the government is probably going to tell you that if you wanted to get the subsidy, you should get the grades or something like that. So they're not going to just, so if that case where they get recommended for 7, they can only pay for 4, and then the other 3, the grades aren't substantial enough to get the subsidy, then there's no system, there's no part in place to cover that. It's either they tell you that is either you get the grades or you pay for it. That's why I'm saying we don't have no other system in place to assist students. But if you have a problem, you can come to us from early, and in some cases we may be able to tell you where you can get assistance, because in very few cases we have people who want to sponsor students. Sometimes your MPs can assist, sometimes the council in the areas can assist, sometimes people like those can assist. So sometimes we can reach out or we can advise you to reach out to them, and they will offer some assistance. All right.
Okay. What I was asking, I don't know if you grasp what I was just saying. What child is under the 50%? Say they're at 50%, and the school recommend them to do 7, and you, the parent, can't pay for all 7. Can you pay for 4 or 3, or you have to pay for all 7?
Oh,
They
what do you
have
mean?
to sit. I'm asking if.
Oh, I'm getting what you're saying. All right. Can I mute back, please? Let me answer that. I'm getting what you're saying. All right, that's an excellent question, because we have situations where students get recommended to do 7 subjects, but not only because they can't pay for the 7 subjects. In some cases, the parent might feel that their child can't manage 7 subjects. So in that case, the parent can come down to the school and speak to me, and I can make arrangements to have the subject removed if they want. So it might not be a payment situation. It might be a situation where the child or the parent genuinely feel that the student can't manage so much at this time, and they just want to reduce it to 5. So as long as you're not reducing like 2 or 1 subject, we can work with that. We don't want them small, so we want to make sure that they maintain at least 5 so that they can move forward with their lives. In addition to that, we don't allow the student, so a student can't come to me and say, sir, I want to take off some subjects, right? Reason being, a lot of times when students do this and I ask you, why you want to take off the subject? Their response is like, sir, I can't bother, or it might be a situation where they might follow their friend. So I don't allow students to come to me with this conversation. So if you as a parent, if you sat down and you had this conversation with the child and you feel like, all right, instead of 7 subjects, I want to take off 1, I want to take off 2, then you, the parent, can come and talk to me. So when I ask you the question, what is happening? Why the child? And in many cases, it's a child, it's just a situation where the child just don't want to put out enough effort or whatever the case is, all right? So if you have a situation like that, parent, come and talk to me and we can take off a subject or two, but the child can't come to me, come take it off, all right? And in addition to that, if you can't afford it, some of them, we can take it off to a situation that you can't afford it, even though we're not really recommend it. We try our best to help you as best as possible. But again, come to me and we can see what we can work out, all right? Davante Grant?
Sir,
Yes,
I am Gary Grant Javantes that.
greetings.
Greetings. I just want to find out for the pathway grades 12 program,
Mhm.
how would I know if he's selected?
What do you mean if he's selected? If he's on path
No, for the
for the subsidy, the path subsidy,
the upper 6th class.
or
Mr.
for the
Remeke?
grade 12.
Right.
All right. I think I don't see Miss Bailey. Was that Miss Bailey? All right. So there's Miss Bailey who's supposed to be doing the application process, but I think what she's waiting on, I think she was waiting on the results to come out as soon as the results come out. So she will reach out to students if they did the application process, if they fill out the forms or whatever, she will reach out to you and let you know exactly when we're ready to start on the process.
Right. We did the application online some time ago, but we haven't heard anything. I went to the school last week and I picked up a package,
Mm-hmm.
but the package doesn't tell me if he's successful.
Okay. All right. So more than likely, as long as you apply, more than likely you will get accepted unless something different happens. More than likely you get accepted. But Miss Bailey will reach out to you for some meeting to discuss it further with you soon.
Okay.
Oh, Miss Bailey, you're here.
Yes, I just joined in. Sorry
Okay,
about
go
this.
ahead. So, all right, go ahead. Miss Bailey can answer you. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm wondering if any other grade 12 persons are here. But if you're the only one, or if anybody else is there, welcome.
Yes.
I am Miss Bailey, the grade 12 coordinator. I heard you mentioning that you collected a package from the school. So that package would have the application form. So you complete the application form, and when we have registration, which is the first week in September, you return the form. It's basically going to be a transition from grade 11 to grade 12. So it's not going to be anything difficult for your child to be admitted. So we're waiting on results currently to see if he has been successful in any CXC or City and Guilds, just to put him further in the program. But if he hadn't attained any of these, no worries also, because there's going to be a heart diagnostic exam that he will do. 25% is going to be the score, the maximum score, the minimum score, sorry. So from he gets this exam over with, and we have the grades from the CSEC or the City and Guilds, or if he did any exam at all, they will use that grade to determine whether or not he will be successful for the program. So if he has no exam at all, don't worry about that either. There is a place for him. So just wait until the results are out. I'm hearing that the results will be out for September 5th. So in that week, we'll be doing the registrations for the program. All right, sir? But you will hear more
Okay.
as time go on.
I can go ahead and buy his uniform.
Yes, you can.
Okay. All right.
All right then, sure.
All right, great. I say Siobhan Brady. Go ahead, Brady. Yeah, unmute and talk.
Sir, well,
Go again. Yeah, Brady, may I hear? Go ahead.
what's the requirement for sixth form? Like if you have a specific subject where you have to get to go here or any grade you have to get to go there.
All right, so this the sixth form that we're offering right
Yes,
now
this is what I had mentioned
go ahead.
before. Mentioned
Alright.
earlier, the requirement is that you need at least one CXC subject, at least one, or City and Guilds stage 3. But if you don't have any of those, then you'll be asked to sit a diagnostic exam, a hard diagnostic exam, and the minimum grade is 25 out of 100. So if you get any of these, then you'll be automatically accepted in the program, because it's like a transition from grade 11, you know. So it's not as if it's something new that you'll be doing, it's just work that you're already started that will be continuing. All right, and as Mr. Remiki told you earlier, that you'll be doing sexy subjects as well. So you can choose the C-sex subjects that you want to resit. Say you got your exams and you realize that you weren't successful in maybe 2 or 3, then you can do a resit of these subjects. Or if you want an additional subject, you can also do that subject as the CXC. If you did not do any City and Guilds in grade 11, then you can do your City and Guilds also in grade 12. Answer your question?
Yes, miss.
All right. So the first week of September, you'll be hearing more. I'll be making calls. I'll be contacting you. I'll be sending messages via the WhatsApp group to tell you when to come in. All right. But right now, during the process of registration, early registration, you can do it online, or you collect the packages. They're available at the school for $1,000. You complete that registration form and you take it in September. All right. Are you a part of the WhatsApp group that Sir created? Are you a part of this WhatsApp group? Are you a part of the school's WhatsApp group? Hello?
I hear him, so I can go on mute or
Oh.
something like that.
Because we'll be scheduling, for those persons who are hearing me, we'll be scheduling a heart diagnostic exam for the current students of grade 11. Well, you're no longer grade 11, but the ones who are prospective grade 12s, for you to do a heart exam. So whether or not the CXC results are out, you'll be called in to do a heart exam just in case. So I'll be publishing the set date and time in the WhatsApp group by at least Tuesday. So just keep abreast of what is happening, everybody. All right, thank you, Mr. Ramiki. Over to you.
Yeah, man. No problem. All right, I've seen Keisha Grant. You can unmute and speak, Keisha Grant.
Good evening, sir. I'm sorry for but I come in the group late, so I just want to ask a question. If it's that it's when the children then goes back to school, that is when you will know if the child is selected to do subjects.
Yes, I'm going to try and have that document ready for them as they return to school. If not the first day, but at least the end of the first week, I'm going to try and have that document ready for them. All right, so that you can have as much time as possible to make the payments.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right, no problem. All right, wrapping up now with the final two. Donna Taylor, see your hand. Do you have another question?
Yes, sir. I was asking, for the grade 12 program, what if the child is from a next school? Would you accept it?
Yes. Right,
If
Miss
he's
Bailey?
year break, like he's 19 now, but he want to do something. Is it
So
possible?
if he's just graduating from another high school, I think he would qualify. He would just have to go through the application process.
Yes, you'll be qualified.
How long as
Last year.
so there's a break. So
You said you wanted a break, but no, you want to grade 12 now.
how old is he?
He's 19.
Oh, no, it has to
19.
be 18.
No, 18.
Right.
You can try heart. Try to get him in the art program
There's a
nearest to you. Where are you living?
Willardine.
Willardine? Okay, on the Brunswick, there's a heart office. You can go there and they can tell you where is the nearest heart program to you.
Okay, no problem.
No problem. Mhm.
All right. Thanks, Ms. Taylor. Wrapping up, Jody and Hines, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My internet
Afternoon.
was giving me some trouble, so I came in late. I would like to know how the settings for the exam, because I'm not sure. I didn't hear everything about it. Like, how would I get the documents and when should everything completed? Thank
All
you.
right. So as I just said a while ago, the documents will be given to the students when they return to school in September, if not the first day, but definitely by the end of the first week. And that document will show exactly which subjects they're doing, how much money must be paid, it show the deadline, and it will show if they are getting any subsidy or anything like that. So they will have all that
Excuse me.
information.
Right.
All right.
And in addition to that, the same thing applies to the grade 12 students. The same principle with the CXC registration applies to all grade 11 students as well. The subsidies, exam subsidies,
All right.
path subsidies, all of that also is a benefit to you, grade 12
Right.
students.
That's correct.
Okay, thank
All right.
you.
You're welcome. Rose Ashley.
Yes, good evening.
Evening.
I am not in the WhatsApp group and I'm asking if you could add me to the WhatsApp group, please. This number that I'm using here, that's my WhatsApp number. And also in addition, I am asking for the grade 11 students, are we asked to pay any money for them to come out to school in September?
You should have collected a package at the school already. You collect that package because that will show you everything that you need to pay pertaining to school.
Okay.
Did you pick up a package already?
No, I did not.
You need to go there to pick it up, all right?
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right, you're welcome. I think that's everybody. Hold on, I see Aretha. Aretha, I see Aretha.
Good evening, sir.
Evening.
Good evening, sir. No,
Good evening.
not Franklin.
Okay.
I heard you mention of package to pick up at the school. When will that package be available? Because I haven't seen anything of such posts in the grade 11 WhatsApp parent group.
I think registration package would have been ready for a couple of
Yes,
weeks.
they're available. They're available at the school. All packages are available.
But because it's Tuesday, I went and collected the report card and I wasn't aware there was a package ready. Okay, then I'll send for the package.
All right, thank you very much.
Excuse me, is there any particular day that you have to go to pick up the package?
No, I think school is open from Monday to Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Between 9 and 2.
Right.
Good evening. What's the cost for the school fee? Again.
5,000.
Okay. Okay,
Good
just wanted,
evening.
because I asked somebody to pay, so I just wanted to know. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
I pick up the package at the school. You hear?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I pick up the package at the school, but there's no voucher. I need to pay the school fee.
There should be a voucher there, I'm not sure. All right, so as I explained, the first thing I explained when I came in this meeting is that I'm not sure everything that's happening with outside of the exams. I'm not sure everything is so possible that there are some questions you might ask here pertaining to back to school, but I might not know. But I can answer anything pertaining to exam. So if you are exam,
Sir,
yes,
sir,
yes,
it is not in the package, but when you can pay it at the school, because I pick up the
you can
package
pay it
and I
at the
pay the
school.
school fee at the school. When I go at the school to pay the school fee, they give you the thing, you sign it up and you paid it there.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so very much. For those of you who are asking for a link to join the WhatsApp group, I just sent a link in the chat. So if you go to the chat and click on the chat, that link will add you directly to the WhatsApp, all right? So if you are not a member of the WhatsApp group, you can use that link. I'm not sure the account number. Ms. Bailey, have the account number?
For Innswood High School?
Yeah.
No, I don't, but I have the telephone number, so I'm going to put it in the chat.
Yes, yes.
So further information, they can contact the school.
All right, put it in the chat, please.
Yes, I'm going to do that. I'm looking for it just now.
Question.
Yeah.
For the subjects, they don't get picked for the subjects yet, right?
It pretty much picked based on the what they were doing in grade 10, you know. So that would determine which subjects.
Reason why I asked, my son didn't start attending school until about the second quarter of one of the semester, because he was out of school for some time and I am overseas. So when I get the time, that's when I come and get him registered. So that's most of the exam, I think he missed. So that's why I asked.
All right, so we were working with the grades that he would have got in the second semester from January coming down. So as long as he did his assignments from January coming down to July, assignments, tests, exams from that time, the end of year exams were in June. So as long as he did some of those as well, then those are the grades that we
school. I think he didn't start school until April.
April. If he managed to get some grades in, that would have been good. That gives us something to work with. But I don't know what if it's a case for him have a blank, then probably if you are going to go back in Jamaica for September, or if you can send somebody to represent you to come down here and talk to us, so we can try and work something out.
The principal is aware, because I came there and I spoke to her in person. She's aware of his situation. The principal was aware of his situation, because when I tried to get him in, she's the one I talk with.
All right, so it means that you have to follow it up come September now to make sure that we are on top of it, all right? So
yes, but I
give us a call or send somebody.
I cannot make it.
All right, him live with him, our guardian?
He's living with my sister, but to be honest, I don't think she's that competent to be up and down doing that, because most of the time, even his report, I don't think his report has been collected yet, because I asked her to collect the report and nothing all now. So I don't know, and honestly, I cannot leave here every time to come and do this, because it's just me and me alone.
I understand, but you need somebody to represent him. So if he's capable enough and him can make a strong talk himself, he can come and talk to us. But I guarantee for most cases, we're going to need we're going to ask you to call us back in September, just to refresh us of the situation and make sure that we're putting system in place to try and manage this. Because if it's him alone, maybe him shy and no one can talk to. So probably you have to go call us back to make sure that we have something in place. So I put my number in the WhatsApp just now. And I said,
in the WhatsApp group, because I am
in the chat. In the
this
Zoom
chat.
Yeah, but just put my number in it.
WhatsApp. I am in the WhatsApp group, you know.
Okay. So if you can see the exam coordinator number, and in September when you get the exam sheet, look at it first and then give me a call, and then we can work something out. All right, so you don't get left behind. All right.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. I'll do just that.
No problem. Oh dear. We're trying to wrap up now, so no more hands after this. That's 3 hands, and we're going to stop it at 3 hands. So that's Cheryl, Jody, and Millicent. So let's start with Cheryl. Cheryl Lynch, you have a question?
Good evening, good evening, good evening.
Evening.
I have 3. One is a issue, one is a question. Okay, the first one, I'll start off with a question. I'm not there just now. Normally, my son, I work with the government, and he normally, when he started school, there is a, I take in my like a letter from work alongside with my ID, and he doesn't pay any school fee. But I'm not there just now. I didn't get the letter, plus my ID, I have it with me. How does I go by doing that? Although last year it was automatically on the system, so they say I didn't have to take it in. So does it go the same way this time?
All right, so call the 818-1965 number Monday and just to verify that it's still on the system, or if you need to send a photocopy of the ID or some other arrangement, call the school and they can advise the best on that. All right.
Okay, thank you. And the next thing again, could you, I don't even know how to put it across. Do you sure if the teachers know all the students in their class?
Yeah, ma'am, because we keep a register, so as long as the child is attending class, we should know.
Okay,
the only way is if they're not attending classes, or they come now and then or something like that.
Oh, okay then. My son's name is Clayton Lynch. He refused. I am texting him and he refused, so I'm telling me. He got back his report, and when he got his report, the day when he got the report, he was very angry. And I was asking him, and he snapped at me and said, I don't know this teacher why him to do this. I said, what is it? The teacher said, me come out of class without asking question. I said, sure. Did he know that you're a prefect? He said, Mom, I don't know, but the teacher saw me come out of class, and the report say he always get out the class without asking question. Sir, to be honest, from I have this child and he has been going to school, is the first I've ever get a report like that on his report. Much less he's a prefect. How could a prefect who's supposed to show an example step out of class without asking teacher what call it?
Get permission.
Permission, sorry.
All right, tell you where I go. WhatsApp me privately and give me the teacher name and I can look into it for you. All
right. Okay.
All right.
All right.
No problem.
Thank you.
Jordan Hines, you ready again? Jordan?
Yes, sir. I'm just asking a little question. Are you going to add us to the grade 11 group, or you're waiting on the documents, the registration documents to do it over?
Which grade 11 group? Do I explain which grade 11 group can you?
No, man, my son is going to grade 11 now. So I'm just asking, are you going to add us to a new WhatsApp group?
No, we're working with the same WhatsApp coming from grade 10. The same one, okay. We send this link and the messages in about the meeting. That's the group. So we just going to name it grade 11 and continue because everybody already.
Grade 10 in one then.
The same grade 10 one from last year. We just going to call it grade 11 and continue.
Okay, then. Thank you, sir. Okay, I've just understand.
Yeah, man, no problem.
And let me just add, Mr. Remike, for the grade 11 group, we're just going to name it now grade 12.
Right. And
so if you're not a part of that grade 11 group, last year's grade 11 group, please indicate to me. I placed my number in the chat just now. My name is Miss Y. Bailey, and you're interested in the grade 12 program, just indicate to me if you're not a member of that group, because I'll be placing information in that group now and again. So ensure that you're abreast with everything. All right.
Thank you, Miss. Millicent, final person to question, and then we have to wrap up. Millicent, you have a question? Yeah. All right, not seeing Millicent saying anything about her hand. All right, on that note, we can wrap up here today. Thank you so much for coming out. I think it was a productive meeting. My number is there for the grade 10s going into grade 11s. Ms. Bailey's number is here for the grade 11 going to grade 12. The WhatsApp group links are there. Please use them to join the appropriate WhatsApp group to be informed. For those of you who missed the entire meeting, this recording will be placed on the Innswood High School's YouTube channel, so you can watch the entire recording again to get all that information if you want. And you have our WhatsApp number, you can reach out to us if you want as well. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Have a blessed and productive day, and I'll see you September morning. All right. Thank you very much. Take care.